तो Zoom से कभी करा नहीं मैंने. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. I think
Yeah.
we'll start again.
We're live on YouTube. We'll announce it to the community and then.
Cool.
Can you hear any background noise? Just put up my fan.
Background noise काफी ज़्यादा है. अब सही है. अभी तो नहीं है.
All right.
Cool.
Harish, did you announce?
Yeah, Yash is posting it right now.
Cool. Just announce it on Discord as well. Hey guys, whoever has joined just now, we'll wait for another 2 minutes for more people to join in and then we'll begin. So hold on and don't leave, please.
It's done on Discord. You can start in 30 seconds.
Cool, cool. Cool. I guess we can start. Shall we, Umang?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool. So welcome, guys. So this is Umang. He works in Japan currently, and he's an IT planner, and has graduated out of Delhi College of Engineering. He has a YouTube channel by the name of Get Sage with over 25,000 subscribers, has garnered over 1 million views. He has interned as a student coordinator at DTU. There's something called Internal Quality Assurance Cell. He has also been a trainee at All India Council for Technical Education. So yeah, that is basically his LinkedIn profile that I just read out to you, and more about him from his own in his own words. Yeah.
So hello everyone. I hope you can see me, and I'm not sure how this streaming works, but this one I am not sure because मैं अपने channel पे करता रहता हूँ. But talking about IT planner, I am not an IT planner. मतलब ऐसे मैं calendars पे schedule नहीं करता. I am not scheduling any type of calendar. I am just scheduling projects. Scheduling also, like you can say, planning out them, how to go about them, how to start their coding, how to release them. Everything around that is a part of IT planning. And I think a lot of companies have these roles right now. And I have a YouTube channel, Get Saged, and like it's all about placements and everything. And now I'm just showing all what I am doing in Tokyo in Japan and sharing a lot of guidance around it as well. And for the other parts which he has read on my LinkedIn, so I have also forgotten all those things. I've just written there and like it's out of my mind now, so we won't talk about that. And now I'm here to let you know whatever I know and share whatever my insights or my knowledge of all these 21, 22, 23 years to you.
Yeah, you talked about what IT planner is not, but can you just shed some light on what it is?
So, in a company, like if you want to create anything, everything or anything, there's a project name given to it as a project. Like this is a project, you have to do it, even if it's a small feature, even it's like something related to an FAQ portal, maybe, or maybe something related to adding just a column in a database. Everything is a project. So, for the utmost efficiency and to get the perfect release schedule, maybe like because what we have learned in engineering is to procrastinate. What we have learned is to not plan, to work on just our instincts, work on the last day. But
Yeah.
in a company or maybe in a firm, that cannot happen. Like you have to follow a schedule, you have to follow a release plan, you have to create efficiency out of engineers who have learned to be not efficient in their 4 years. So for that, planning is required to like a very basic level. You should have to be planned every each and every day. Like, is दिन ये code होने वाला है, and on this day we'll release that. On this day we'll talk about this. On this day we'll code this. On this day we'll think about reviewing it again. So we have to plan everything. जिससे there's a proper guidelines, proper timelines to all those coders जो सोच के आए हैं in their college के we have to procrastinate in companies as well, and that's not possible because of people like me.
Yeah. So as far as I can understand, this isn't something that is a traditional software engineer job, just coding or doing stuff. This is more related to the organizational part of it and planning it out and making people more productive. So what my question is that what course do you do, and like what are you supposed to learn in college or even before that to do something in this field? Am I audible? He froze, I guess. Guys, I guess there's some internet problem from his side, so we'll have to wait for some time. I'll just text him on WhatsApp in the meantime.
In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can ask in the chat section.
Yeah.
Even I can try answering a couple of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Umang is not there. He'll be joining in a bit. In the meantime, let's take a look at the questions.
Yep. You can even turn on your camera.
It's fine.
Cool.
Okay, someone's asking about internships. So SVR, Murma, if you're specifically asking about tech internships, then at least at places like BITS, you'll mostly have like a screening round. Okay, Umang is back.
Yeah, Umang is back.
So sorry for the internet trouble, this Japan and everything. I can't tell you. Like
Yeah,
every
no problem.
manual, every remote is in Japanese, and you can't figure out what you have to do, how do you have to set up. So it's everything like it's working on Jugaad plus.
It's cool, man. It's cool. Yeah,
so,
cool.
I just connected to my company.
So did you hear my question or shall I repeat it?
Yeah, I heard your question and I forgot.
Yeah, cool.
So Your question was related to what you have to learn in college, basically, to become or maybe successful in a type of this role. So
Yeah.
for me, I think the utmost important thing is to know how to code, know how to develop products. So because if I don't have that information, I can't even think about planning for others. Like I have to know what all goes into a development task, what all goes into like planning that development task or specifications of that whole project. So I have to know those skills. Second of all, I have to plan as well. Like I have to know the skills of planning. And uh, how do you learn planning? You can't, basically. But the way you procrastinate in your college, the way you delay everything in your college, that also teaches you something, like on how to plan your last day maybe, or how to plan your last night. So that is a type of thing you have to learn in college. What I think is 4 years are for to know how to become, or maybe to know how to learn things, not to learn coding or not to learn those basic theoretical.
Mm-hmm.
What they teach in 4 years in India is how to become a person who can learn everything, who can do anything. Any task given to him can be completed by him. So
Yeah.
I think the goal of every engineer should also be to learn that skill only. It should not be कि हम DSL को कर लेंगे. We'll learn this coding skill, so we'll get a job, we'll be successful, we'll do this in life. But you have to learn to be a engineer per se, as per an Indian definition, to do things, to be able to do at the last moment. So वो वाली चीज, if you get it cleared in your 4 years, then you're good to go for life.
Yeah. So basically, planning cannot be learned. Uh, so how do you even pitch for a job that is related to this field? Like, for example, if you are you're applying for a full stack developer job, you show them your projects. What do you show?
So I had to obviously pitch for my this role, because when we were hired, we were just hired as IT people, or maybe people from India who have good IT skills and good like business skills or business leadership
Yeah.
skills. And then we had these interviews where we had to pitch ourselves, like what we want to be in the company, what we want to have. We have a growth trajectory, and I think in every company these days these processes are going on. They hire for a basic SD role, but then they do a certain type of interview to find out maybe this person is better in another job,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe he's not just meant for coding, maybe he can lead that coding team as well directly. I have heard cases where interns have become project managers, so it's like a very great thing if you can crack that. What I think how I pitched was to tell that person that I have done my share of coding in college. I have done my share of development in college. I've led my share of teams in college. So you can trust me on that I can be on that level. Secondly, I don't just want to code in the back of a computer, and I just don't want to get commands from my senior and that I have to code this today, I have to code this today. But be able to plan it maybe, and be able to put my ideas through it, or give my input at every aspect of it, and they understood it as well. Like I can help in planning in that sense. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where I pitched it the correct way maybe.
Yeah. Uh, in your college, you have cracked this internship for MHRD's AICT, that is All India Council for Technical Education. Uh, Sorry, you're a trainee, and the internship part is
Training,
different.
it's
Yeah.
not a training. It's like a being a member of a committee or a team which like
Yeah. Yeah.
tells MHRD about the college, or maybe like makes a communication with between the two. It's not type of
So,
an internship or
can you talk a bit about that? Even how you got in or got onto that community, or what you did in it?
so it's related to the part of the internal quality assurance cell. So every like I think every college has an internal quality assurance cell. Maybe it's not a big team in some colleges. Maybe it's not given that much attention in every college, but it's an important role. Like there, it's like a team where you can put your feedbacks. It's a team where all the certification type of things like NAC accreditations, or maybe all those other NBA approvals are gone through, or maybe a college society file at the end is given to the IQAC to check again what may be the like a benefit of it or something like that. So for that they have to communicate with all the ministries, and for every like annual reports and everything. They have to communicate to every department of college, to every ministry, every, maybe the assemblies, all also, like DT was a state university, so we had to
Yeah.
communicate with the assembly level as well. So there they added us to this members team where we can like communicate with them and directly tell them what's happening in the college.
That's interesting. So, how did you crack this job? Was it an on-campus interviews, or was it you went outside?
So it was just in DTO we have a USIP type of thing where students can intern in college for various menial tasks and administrative help. Like, because professors are not that great in technology, maybe in studying, maybe in teaching they are very great, but when it comes to technology and using it for the helpfulness of the university and making the university at a better scale or maybe improving their ranks, they're not that great. So for that they hire students like us and give us very minimal 2,500 per month, and asked us to help the professors in various departments. It may be IQAC, maybe yeah, that maybe the students development, dean, hostel
Mm-hmm.
office, international affairs office, library. Maybe like I know some of the people created an app as per a part of USIP in the library, something like those. So I interviewed for that, and I had a senior who was in IQAC, so he recommended that I should join this team, and it would be helpful for me.
Yeah. Uh, and the next question is, how did you land this job straight away in Tokyo? How did that happen?
So it was an on-campus offer, obviously. So like when it came to our like college, so we knew that it was like a top offer because it had that package thing, that it has a highest package or maybe
Yeah.
a big number added to it. But a lot of people were skeptical because of being in Tokyo, being very around COVID. Like it was the COVID period which was just
Yeah.
starting. So I got my placement in I think 9th March or 3rd March, and just after I think 20 days the lockdown started. So there
Mm-hmm.
were very a lot of areas where like people were very scared. But at that time, people didn't knew about the lockdown thing, so they were not very scared about international offers. But like Tokyo and Japanese and everything, it's a little bit scary. But I just wanted to give it up as a challenge for me to clear those rounds and like maybe just try what an interviewing for a international placement might be like. And that's where I fell in love with their whole process. And then how I saw that they're not checking coding in interviews, because they and their whole ideology was that I can't check a person's coding skills with 3 questions. That's basically absurd. Like you can
Mm.
just mug up 300 questions and give me the answer, and that's useless for me. You can't even code if you just mug up 300 questions. So their ideology was very perfect and matching with my own ideology, and that was where I felt great. And they were like hiring as a business leader, maybe for a coding role. Like most of the people I came with are in e-commerce, maybe the back end, front end, and coding roles. I am not in that, but they hired as a business leader, not as a coding person. Their whole ideology was, okay, you can learn these skills. Coding can be learned in a very few days. In the training, you can learn, but you have to learn a lot of other skills which take time, which take maybe 4 or 5 years to learn. Maybe the speaking skills, maybe the attitude, maybe finding good ways to solve a problem. You can say shortcuts to, or like add to that word, but finding the better solution every time. So I remember every time whenever a question comes around the interviews of this company, I remember a very basic question. They asked us to multiply 69 into 49, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer was pretty simple to calculate. And you had a pen and paper. And they selected people who multiplied using that 100 minus 1 into that whole formula
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sometimes we use. And then there were people who calculated it directly,
Yeah.
multiplying. So they rejected those people who directly calculated, because like their whole ideology was, if he's just hardworking, we don't want him. But he should find a faster, easier way.
Smarter work.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and at that moment of time, like smart work, and at that moment, that was their whole ideology. And it was an on-campus offer, so I can't like give a lot of credit to myself for finding this job.
Yeah.
But like getting onto that opportunity and clearing those interviews was a tough thing. Like I can tell now because they didn't check coding, they didn't check your theory of database, or primary key or other things which are very easy to mug up, but they check the person how he was.
Hmm. So, since most of our viewership is from colleges, uh, what is the like? How does it happen? How do the interview rounds happen for Indian companies, and how does it happen for foreign companies like Japanese companies? You talked about Japan side, but can you shed some light on India's side as well?
So for Indian companies, I have given like I think till the last round I've gone for Amazon, Flipkart, Visa I have cleared, so I can tell from that experience. For Indian companies, it's a basic, very simple, straightforward procedure. They want to check your three things. One is your DS algo skills, for which they ask questions in interviews, in online test, everywhere they ask questions. Second is some of them ask your subject theoretical knowledge of database, OS, and something like that. And third is sometimes they ask puzzles. I don't know why, but there might be a good thinking factor for some companies, which I've heard. So, and like some companies are there in India which focus totally on projects, your resume, and those are the best companies you should go for. I think if they are just checking DS algo, I think you should also not work for them. You should work in a company where they are interested in your personal coding life, not your professional or academic coding life. So
Mm-hmm.
basic, you have to mug up your DS algo if you want to get a job at Amazon, Microsoft. I think Goldman Sachs, you need to build a higher order thinking of coding as well. But similar, other if you keep on mugging up a lot of questions, doing a lot of questions in an Indian company, you can crack every other company except those company which see projects, and there you will fail miserably. So it's
Yeah.
up to you where you want to go in your coding life. Do you want to follow that very easy track of mugging up questions, or do you want to balance it with your projects and become a person where you are like happy about yourself also, that in these 4 years I've created something as well, not just did the academic stuff.
Yeah. Can you talk about what companies, like which companies ask for what kind of projects and stuff like that?
So I have created a very long playlist for that as well, like for a lot of companies, which company is asking what, which company is asking what, and which type of level of coding questions which company is asking. So for me, like for the project type of thing, I have like my experience with Visa, that was very good because they were like, I totally told them on the first line of my interview that I have not marked up DSRO questions. So please don't expect me to vomit out the answers on them or vomit out the basic algorithms on them, but I can try. If you just give me a question, a good question, I'll try my best. So they were like, it's cool, we don't want that coding part. So like this, some companies are there, but I can't tell every, like I can't list them down, but I know a few. Visa is one of them, and I think Flipkart and Amazon, but basically totally about their coding part. Like I have not come across many companies relating to this ideology, but yeah, I can tell about one, right?
You had gotten selected in Visa, but you didn't accept that offer. So, uh, number one, why didn't you accept that offer? And number two, what is the procedure like?
So it was a very difficult choice, obviously, and given the fact that Corona was on its on full scale, and I all the flights were suspended between Japan and India, and still I don't know why I chose Japan one, but obviously I'm very lucky and very happy about it now. So my only reason was one, that Visa is a tech company, and there would be a lot of tech people there, and you will
Yeah.
have a tech role, but a small tech role in a big tech company. And like going up the ladder would be very difficult in a company like Visa. But when you see a company which main focus is to sell clothes, they have a different approach. They have a different type of IT team. They have a large number of people working in the IT team, but it's very segregated. It's very like entrepreneurial. If you think about that, in like if you have a different segment of work which you have to focus on, then everything is an entrepreneurial work for you. Even managing people is a different type of thing. Like your mindset is, we have to sell clothes. How should we sell clothes? What type of clothes should we sell? And how do we get it to customers? Then people say you should hire an IT team. You should build websites. Then the person gets, okay, but then how do I do that? Then he has to become a startup owner in that sense. So there, I think going up the ladder is a very good and achieving role in some sense. Like there, people have to make you motivated to code. But in a company like Visa, maybe everyone is coding. Then people would be like, you should follow the person next to you and just do what coders have to do. That was my logic there.
Yeah. Can you talk about Visa's interview process and how you got through it?
So Visa's interview process was very like when I was standing outside the interview rooms and I was late for that interview. I should also add that because like I was I think 3 hours late. People were in their third round and I just reached there. And because I had this Amazon interview process before that, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, Amazon try kar lete hain." And if I don't get through Amazon, I'll go to Visa. And that time I had this Amazon wala Kida in my brain because I had given 3 times the interview for internship, and every time in last round or maybe they had some various weird excuses for not selecting me. So I was like, I should beat this once. Maybe I should not
Yeah.
go for the job, but I should beat this one. So I went for that interview, and obviously first round was very weird for me. There was a person who was like I think he was an amazing coder for his belief, but maybe not what I saw from my perspective. He asked me questions, I answered the perfect and most efficient coding answer possible there. And he was not impressed, maybe. And when I asked him, okay, what would be the better solution to this, and he was not able to answer that as well. So that's a different story. So after that, I went to that visa process area in our college, and then there I asked the placement coordinator. Obviously, he was not that very helpful. I won't take his name, but so I just waited there for a while, 10, 15 minutes. And then I saw a person who was like from Visa, who was like writing names and organizing that stuff. So I directly approached her, removing all those obstructions in between that I was late because of rain, blah 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 blah, and everything. Oh, thankfully it was raining that day. But she allowed me. So she said, "ठीक है कर लेते हैं. Maybe he's a great guy and just a time issue is there. We'll follow that." And after that, first round started, and amazing first round. It was all about my resume. He asked me good questions about I think maths bit by like he asked me a question about banks and ATMs, which I solved using bit character mapping or maybe manipulation of bits. And that was a very achieving factor for me solving that question related to ATMs and everything with zero sense of ATMs, with zero sense of finance. I was like able to solve that, and that was great for me. Then I showed wanted to show him my app, and I started my app, and it crashed in front of him, and that was a great thing again. And he was like, "हाँ होता है ठीक है." Okay, cool, cool. But then like everything was going up and down, like one thing up, one thing down, one thing up, one thing down, one, and that caused a lot of tension in my brain. कि अभी 2 ऑफर में से Amazon reject हो चुका है, and I have to crack this one at least to get it through. एंड तो बट थैंकफुली उन्होंने अप्रूव कर दिया मेरा मतलब इंटरव्यू वो वाला फर्स्ट वाला एंड उनका the process was so amazing that they had a very long form, the visa people, and in that a lot of questions they were filling for every like they were judging everything, I think behavioral and everything, like they had a 20 set of questions in that sheet, I think. And
Yeah.
that sheet was being discussed within 3 people, I think. After my interview got over, I like came outside and I could see 3 people discussing over that sheet and like thinking, should we take this person forward or not? And that was something very interesting to see. Like it's not if one person says this, we'll accept. And they just like it was a good feeling when you see that people are judging you and discussing over you. So, and after that, second round, third round, they were basically similar type of rounds as well, resume based and some type of different questions. And the most, I think, the happening thing that happened was they had the solution to our online test as well. So we had, I think, 4 questions, and I think I did 1.5 or 2.5, and I left the DP question there. So his direct question was, why did you not do the DP question and everything? So I said, I didn't waste my time practicing DP question. I did other things. I created an app, I created a website, I created a portal. And he was like, cool. So how do I check your this part of skill? So I
Yeah.
told him, you can create a question around anything, maybe something new, maybe something from your mind, not a very academic or technical question, or maybe a written question on each forget. So he created a puzzle for me, and it was a similar puzzle to Geeks for Geeks puzzles, or maybe those puzzles available online, but he changed it somehow. Like he changed the time of that burning stick, and like he created it more difficult, and I was not able to solve it. But he liked my approach towards it, and he at the end he told me how to solve it. And then he asked me an OS related question, how to perform, I think, there are, I think, four types of OS processes where you select which process to process first, and then which process to go second. So in that sense, he asked me two, three types of ways to process a table. I think
Hmm.
that was it for the rounds, and they selected me after that those rounds. And I think it was a very great process because they didn't focus more on coding, and they focused more on my resume. And I think after that the HR round was left, which was
Yeah.
again a masterpiece because uh, just as I sat in front of him, his first question was, so after attending the company's PPT, what questions do you have? I'm like, PPT, okay, so a PPT also happened. And I think it was at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. And I came from Gurgaon, and I think at 10 a.m. for the Amazon round. And I didn't even knew about ke visa hoga mera yani. And after the PPT, they announced the name. So I was like, I didn't even attend the PPT. So he's like, then why should I take you? Like, you are not even interested. He just called two, three people in his team. The people who were interviewing, he stopped them and called and said, look, he didn't even attend the PPT. Why should I even take his HR interview? I was like, okay, now this is pretty bad. Now this has gone the worst it could ever go today.
Yeah.
And from there, he was like, "Pura maze lena." He was like, at every question, he was taunting me about that. Hey, you didn't attend the PPT. You don't have any knowledge about this and this and that. But obviously, he in between he asked me a lot of questions. He saw on my resume I was vice president at the entrepreneurship cell of our college. So he was like, "You are cleared on that communication part, I think. So I should not judge that." Second, then we talked about politics in college. So there's a lot of politics in DTU, I think, regarding societies, regarding administration and the communication between societies, who get what budget, and like a lot
Yeah.
of all those things you might know about them if it happens in your college. So we talked about that. Then we talked about politics in office. I don't know why we were talking about politics. We thought it was like a discussion over tea. It was not an interview. I didn't, because I think back of the mind I thought he might not select me, so I should just talk shit I know from my college, shit I have done in my college, politics I have seen in my college. Just throw everything, my 3 years in front of him, and
Yeah.
just let him decide what type of person I am, or should he take me or not. So that was it for the HR round. And I think after 2.5 hours of waiting, they announced the names. That was very like a great moment for me, and a roller coaster ride as well.
That's cool. So I think that should be enough for the placement questions. We should move on to your content creation journey. So you
Mhm.
have a YouTube channel, Get Sage. So can you talk about what you make there and all of that stuff?
So for me, Get Saved was being like, I have seen a lot of students in even my college, even in my class, or maybe in my group circle, who don't know a lot of things that they should know. Maybe basic knowledge,
Yeah.
basic stuff. Maybe not an academic perspective, but how to think. Maybe uh, I can't tell someone how to think, but I think there are better ways to think about a lot of things. There are better ways to plan a lot of things. There are better ways to tackle a lot of things. Because in a college life, you face a lot of issues regarding subjects, regarding professors, regarding projects, regarding everything you face in life. And people are, I think, 90% of the times blacked out about it. They don't know how to even approach a problem.
Yeah.
And from where there I started to think that I should share some type of knowledge which I have gained, or maybe some of the failures that I have faced in life, to people, and maybe they can learn something out of it. So not for that I created a channel. I just wanted to create a channel. I created a channel. I posted a lot of useless content. I posted random content, and then there I posted a video regarding my placements, my both visa and
Yeah.
Uniqlo Tokyo placement, and that video did good. I think 500 views, and that was a lot for me at that moment, because and I knew YouTube was not that very easy. You have to work a lot for it.
Yeah.
And after that, I thought, this educational part is good for me, and I know a bit about it, and I can share that to a lot of people in, I think, tier 3 colleges, which who don't have any information regarding those things. So from that, I created a lot of videos regarding placements, regarding resume, regarding how to select these things, how to go about an interview. And then from that, I started, the growth was going well, but then like a stagnant phase comes in your YouTube journey a lot of times. So I've
Yeah.
found that stagnant uh, level very early in my YouTube career. And then I talked to Ajay from, like, he has his own channel, Ajay Raj, if you know, from Tech School. He had his name changed from Tech School to Ajay Raj now.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me that, why don't you tell people about your failures in interviews? Like, you must have given
Yeah.
a lot of interviews where you failed. So I created this Amazon video because I have failed, I think, 4 times in that, and every time it is a different journey for me. So I created a video regarding love and hate relationship of Amazon, and that was very funny for me to create, and that was very informational as well, like what type of hiring Amazon is doing, and how they are, like, people are getting into it. Like, it was very informational from my perspective. Like, a lot of people don't know what goes in interviews, what happens in these
Yeah. Yeah.
companies or interviews of these companies. And after that Amazon video, I think a lot of people now know. I think it has 50,000 views now, but now a lot of people know what goes in that, like how only those famous 50 Amazon questions are asked in every interview, how only questions are asked, nothing about that person is being asked or maybe judged in those interviews. So that created a very good effect on my channel, and I then talked to a lot of my friends, got information about their companies, and just posted on internet, added some fun way to it, added some memes to it, added bhaiya ji to it, and it all created a good effect. And I think that's how I am now here today.
Cool. I think we should start taking questions from the audience. So if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat box. In the meanwhile, because the stream is lagging, I'll ask ask you a previous question that they've asked.
Sure, sure.
People asking how is life in Japan, how much he earns. I don't think he'll reveal that, but yeah, how is life in Japan?
See, life in Japan is very different from India. It's like, uh, take India, clear out all the mess, clear every street, clear everything, keep the Indian cultural values, make it everything clean, add technology everywhere, make vending machines everywhere. That's Japan for you. So sometimes the cleanliness part or maybe the rules part is a bit much, or maybe the technology, like everywhere you don't want technology. In some places it should be just a menial task.
Yeah.
Some places technology is too much. So in Japan they overdo technology, I think. But it's fun to live. People are very nice. Japanese is difficult because people don't speak English much here, but you'll survive easily if you come to Japan. And for anime related people who like anime, or maybe who like scenic beauty, or maybe trekking, I think Japan is an amazing place.
Yep. Uh, Someone has said, how does he communicate in Japan?
So our company taught us for, I think, around now it's 6 7 months Japanese in a more regressive way when we were in India. Now a very leaner way because we're working as well. So they have taught a lot to us, and we can communicate quite easily to a lot of extent in Japanese.
Mm-hmm. Someone has asked, what skills are required to be an IT planner?
Uh, the only skill required is you must have done a lot of projects where you have led teams or maybe worked in teams and saw what problems you face when you're working in a team.
Yeah.
And I think that's enough to plan a team's work.
Yep. So next question is, but yeah, I'm in T2E. Can I get into visa? I guess
I'm
you
not
can if you
sure
work hard.
how they allow, but I think off campus they don't see branches. And no company sees branches off campus.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I guess that's all the questions that we have.
Sure.
Wait.
Like questions related to animation, I cannot answer. Someone asked, so should we procrastinate? I don't think you should procrastinate, but if you are doing, learn from it.
Yeah, procrastinate in a positive way, as he said.
Yeah.
All right, then I think we should end it right there.
Sure. I think a lot of knowledge is taken out from my brain. Nothing more is left.
Yeah,
So let's.
cool. On that note, any closing statement or anything that you would like to say at the end?
So, like my closing statement for everyone who is watching, I think just try the best you can in your life and enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you won't get that success you wanted to get. And I think without enjoying, you might not even be able to do that smart work. You can do hard work without enjoying. I don't know why I'm saying enjoying,
Yeah,
but yeah. So just enjoy everything, and everything will be sorted, I think, in the end.
yep, makes sense. All right, thanks for coming, Umang. Absolutely loved it. People seem to have loved it too. So cool. Maybe we'll end
Sure.
it right here.